We've got our first pelicans that just flew in about 20 minutes ago, and they're on the ice. And so now it was a white on white image of these beautiful pelicans and really great light. Light kind of comes and goes, but this is sort of silvery white birds on this beautiful plain white landscape. And then we had a few Canada geese just walk through them to give them a little bit of accent. It was really super. The cubs they look almost as big as she is, but the weight-wise they're probably 125, 150 pounds. She's probably around 300, 325, I would guess. But they're so bulked up from the last couple of weeks being out of the den, just finding winter kills and stuff, that they're getting pretty big. The singular image was attractive to me, like Owen Grommy did and a lot of other painters, Andrew Wyeth, Robert Bateman, Roger Torrey Peterson, and I wanted to make images like them, but using a camera instead of painting. Never painted anything in my life, never even tried it, but I thought photography might be a stepchild substitute for real art. So that's what I did. Right, Dan. Yeah, I can help you there.
All right. Thanks, Tom.
Yeah. Hi, Kathy. How are ya? So I'm in Anchorage until here, and then I come back for this.
Back for that workshop.
For that workshop, and it goes till there. And so if I wanted to go to Yellowstone for a couple of days, it'd have to be like the 14th, 15th, 16th.
Exactly.
Maybe here. And you get there, the Motorola walkie-talkie somewhere. I have everything from 12 to 24 millimeter in the digital system, 18 to 200 for an easy backpack lens, 70 to 200, 2.8, 300, 400, 500, 600. I have the whole system. But depending on whether I'm backpacking or whether I'm traveling by car or things are accessible or whatever, and what I'm shooting is what I take with me. If it's flowers, it might be a close-up lens, obviously. Macro lens. If it's small birds, I'll probably use a 600 millimeter. If it's bison, elk, deer, large mammals, I'll use everything from a wide angle to a super telephoto. You can't go, boy. Do you want to go? You want to go to Alaska? Huh? It's too far. There's big dogs up there. Yeah, those are huskies. Come on, you can't go. Come on, please. Come on. Yeah, boy. Thanks. Okay, we're ready. All the pictures in the Natural World book are from a Panoramic 617 camera. It's a roll film camera, fairly basic view camera. Probably my favorite photography is with that camera. It includes oftentimes the landscape, obviously, but animals in the landscape, and shows the habitat and light and drama, hopefully, and mood, and it's a easier way to capture, I think, how we feel about things and what I've experienced and seen in one image. Most of my 35 images up until the last couple of years were all on film, and I sort of came to digital kicking and screaming, and never thought I would actually, well, I guess I thought I would eventually turn to digital, but not this quickly. So today, most of my images, the 35 millimeter format, are on digital, and both mediums are totally valid, and you could argue one over another, but they're equally good to me, and it's not whether you use digital or whether you use film. It's, you know, to get the picture and be there and sort it out and capture the moment, and that's what it's about. Digital film, doesn't matter. I try to, more often than not, find a particular spot to sit and wait and watch, and let the animal come to me if possible. and wait for the animal. He accepts you or she accepts you. That's fair, and they, if they're bothered, they'll go another direction.
This is like a 6th or 7th day here, and I think we've stopped 5 days in a row, different times of the day. And the clouds come in. It was snowing a few days ago, so everything was covered with snow. And last night there's fresh snow on the peaks. We call it termination dust when the end of the season's here. And but every day it's different. You know, you can see today it's quite different than yesterday was. And we spent like 3 hours just watching the light change, and the clouds are moving to the east there, so hopefully the sun will hit those peaks in a minute and we'll be able to photograph that. But right now there's some nice light on these hills over here, so it just keeps changing. You just have to keep coming back.
Many of my trips involve long days, and especially in places like Alaska and Denali, when the light goes until midnight in the summertime, a little bit shorter in the fall, but still 10:30, 11 o'clock. You're up at 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, and it's difficult to keep a real accurate journal. So oftentimes, when I get home, I'll play catch up and try to hit the highlights of my days in the field.
Some 220.
So once I get the image, we go through a very intense editing process. Any one shoot might involve 500 rolls, 36 images per roll, or more so today, 12 to 15,000 digital images. The film we edit on a light table with a magnifying loupe, and it's a process of narrowing down the images, whether it's on a computer screen or a light table. Similar process. It's usually a matter of elimination. You just keep whittling the best selects down until you end up with that one image that meets all the criteria for a print.
How about the highlights up here?
They're pretty blown out, huh?
Kind of bring them down a little bit?
Yep.
Okay.
This guy looks too cyan, I think.
And then the highlights, yeah, bring the highlights down. A little more, yeah. Okay. Okay, much better.
The mountains.
We want to bring up the reds and the greens. Tom, here's the print we just made from those corrections.
Okay. That looks much better. So is this the 5th or 6th print?
This is the 6th print.
Okay.
We had that highlight problem with the last one. We
Okay.
brought them down some more.
All right.
How are you feeling about the highlights this time?
They look good.
Okay.
Good.
So we'll take out a little more magenta in the mid-section here,
Yeah.
just below the snow line.
Mhm.
And we'll decrease the red saturations just a little bit. We got a little bit too much there.
Okay.
And we'll try
I
another
think we'll
one.
be close, yep.
Okay.
Great.
Oh, is that right?
I'm not.
Much better. I think it looks great. From the beginning of my career, I decided to do limited editions, basically to make them a little more special, that they weren't something that everybody in the block would have, be a little bit different than posters. We'd actually do posters and lithographs to fulfill that market, but for the more the connoisseur and the collector and people who appreciated the photographic print, I decided to do limited editions. And to date, I think I've done 1,500 total or something. Each print is numbered and signed, and generally there's a 10% of the edition will be dedicated to artist proofs or a special limited group that will be used for conservation efforts. I think that's a nice combination. What do you think, Jeremy?
Oh, definitely. Compliments.
Let's go with that one, shall we?
Yep.
After we get the prints made, they're shipped to me in Jackson. I sign them and look at them, make sure that they're right, then ship them off to Omaha where their mats and frames are chosen. And we have some really great people there, real art craftsmen. Jeremy Caniglia specifically, who's in charge of the prints. And they frame them up and ship them to the galleries. You know, it's huge, right? But the consensus was that it's different. You know, it's big, it's different. You know, you're going to put this on your desk, and this is going to probably stay on your table for a while. It's not going to, you know, go on the bookshelf because there's nowhere to put it on the bookshelf for one thing. So that may sound kind of silly, but, you know, it's a coffee table book. And this, you know, is a coffee table book too. My latest book is called The Natural World, which is a collection of 20 years of my panoramic photographs, 10 different places, the major places that I, again, fell in love with, species I fell in love with, polar bears, Antarctica, South Georgia Island, Serengeti, Denali in Alaska, Iceland. So all these places that I just cared deeply about, and pictures that I felt were the best of what I've done in the last 15 years. Every year, generally during spring and fall, I have a number of receptions and have a special exhibit of the new work, and that usually involves 10 to 20 images. It's fun for me because I get to meet oftentimes collectors, people who have bought my work maybe for 20 years.
He's the greatest sculptor in the world. Ken Over. The greatest sculptor in the world right there. Wildlife sculptor. He's my favorite. So I have to come back to this area.
Yes, definitely, yes, do because it's a stunning, it's the base of the Narborough Plaza, and looks out of jewelry copies of
One of my most rewarding receptions that I have every year is during the Fall Arts Festival in Jackson. I have an exhibit of new work in my gallery, and usually it's about 10th, 15th, 20th of September. It's often in conjunction with the film festival or the summit photography at the Summit Workshop, which I teach at more often than not. And a lot of my colleagues usually show up, and it's a great party, and some of the most respected names in photography, both in the still world, people like Bill Allard and Jay Maisel and Jody Cobb and David Allen Harvey, and from the film world, my heroes of all time, guys like Alan Root, and younger filmmakers like Alison Argo. And we have this big celebration of images, and we talk shop, and we drink wine, and we celebrate nature and photography, and it's so rewarding for me to be included in their lives, and hopefully vice versa. But that's rewarding for me to share my images with people that I adore. Bellin Backyard provides a lot of great viewing opportunities, and some mornings I just wake up and the light's beautiful, and I just head up to the Oxbow Bend, which is such an incredibly rich place for wildlife. More often than not, I'll see coyotes and muskrats and beavers and sometimes cranes along the shore at different times of season, especially in the fall. There are moose that are in the rut there, and often they're searching out females and they're mating. And in the background you have cranes calling and maybe a bald eagle soaring overhead. It's just one of my favorite places on earth. You know, I think Jane is the Mother Teresa of the environment of our day. There's no one, I think, certainly no one I'm aware of, that has done so much for the environment and for humanity than Dr. Jane. She is remarkable.
There.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Jane.
Because I want one.
You want one?
You want a book.
it-
You want a book.
Want to do? Okay.
You want a book? Yes, you do, because you're such a good boy.
Do you realize when he canters, he becomes a melon?
He becomes a melon.
Cantaloupe. Isn't that funny? I never thought of that
Very good,
before.
I like that.
Come here.
Go over there and be a cantaloupe.
That's Jonathan's book. Because I've known Tom now for about 5 years. We think it's about 5 years. It seems a lot longer. And I'm just so happy that we met, because I think both of us have the same goal. We both care passionately about the natural world, about the animals, and about the amazing panoramas of nature. And I think that Tom's work not only captures this whole spirit of the natural world, but he's created these images of nature which are in people's homes all over the United States and beyond. And to be able to sit in your living room and get a glimpse of wonders which maybe you're not lucky enough to see, Tom sharing his experiences. You know, we both feel how lucky we've been to be able to be out in the most amazing wilderness areas. And so together, we're really hoping that we can do something even more. It's like, you know, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So with his photography and my lectures and books and things, I think we are helping to take this message further and make people understand how much we need everybody's help to save some of this beauty for our children's children. Oops.
That was kind of a wimpy throw, Jane.
Oh, wimpy
You're
throw.
supposed to come up on the land. That's bad. That's more like it. Oh, there's a big one.
I want to feed the ducks. I want to feed the ducks.
Okay, feed the ducks. I'm not looking too hungry there, but
They're not very hungry, are they? We were just talking about these wretched photographers who manipulate their images and use game farm animals and all that crap. Yeah, that's wise. He's taking the shortest distance. Very wise.
Yeah, the Serengeti in East Africa is certainly my favorite place to photograph. Wild, crazy animals like giraffes and elephants and Cape buffalo. Amazing. Impellas running and leaping like a poetry. And Cape buffaloes in the dust there staring at us and sort of menacing looking. And you know, a dozen or small groups of giraffes standing on the plain, and one or two giraffes in the distance with nothing but grassland around it, and old acacia trees, all kinds of very graphic opportunities photographically. Favorite places are Kenya and Tanzania, but we spent days there and all day long watching the elephants come and go from the forest. They trekked some 25 miles to the forest in the evening, pretty much at sunset and towards dark, and it was really cool. The babies followed them 25 miles to go to the forest, of course, and 25 miles back in the day to come to the marsh to water and feed on the marsh grass, and so you see these long lines of elephants coming across the plain and dust. You could see where the elephants are coming because the herd would create so much dust behind them. So we would just wait in particular places and watch them pass by. And I don't think there's any animal that I have more respect for than the elephants, with their social system with the families and their longevity and their intelligence and the way they communicate. So that was amazing. Tarangire is one of my favorite places, especially because of the baobab trees. My favorite tree, I think, on earth. Kind of upside down trees, some people call them. They're huge, ancient, a couple thousand years old, some of them. One of my favorite images from this past year in Tarangire Park in Tanzania is a leopard in a baobab tree. Something I've always wanted to photograph. Yeah, Africa, especially East Africa, has it all. Lions, leopards, cheetahs, all kinds of bird life. Had the good fortune to see a number of really small lions that were 8, 10, 12 weeks old with their prides. Leopard in a beautiful downed dead tree one evening, howling or yowling and looking for a mate, and it just sat on this dead tree. A number of different flycatchers, like paradise flycatcher. It's just very beautiful bird with a long tail. Everything a wildlife photographer could dream of is in Africa. I had the good fortune to go to the Pantanal in Brazil a couple of years ago, and I always wanted to go. I'd heard about all these macaws and the jaguars. Those are the two species I wanted to see most. We had a really great time. It's one of the wildest places on earth. One of the coolest and kind of wildest looking things are anacondas and all the other snakes down there, but we had the opportunity to see a couple of anacondas, huge snakes. But the anacondas have to be the most impressive snake I've ever seen. 15, 18 feet long, 6, 8 inches in diameter, maybe more. My earliest memories of wildlife and nature were on the Platte River. The waterfowl, the great migration of cranes. There's 500,000 cranes come through Nebraska in March, and they spend a month there basically. I think I've only missed one spring on the Platte because I was in Africa. It is one of those unsung places of the natural world. It's as spectacular as the wildebeest migration in Tanzania, seeing polar bears in the Arctic or Denali. It's a place that I have to go back to, I think, just to touch base with my roots. It reconnects me with my parents, family, friends, and my whole being.